The topic of this video is setting up your students in Exxat Prism. This video comprises of 14 chapters. Using this video, you can learn how to set up student organization, add and invite students to the system, update student information, and set up the student login. Maintaining an accurate student list is crucial for granting them access to Exxat, and keeping their information updated is essential for reporting and accreditation purposes. This tutorial uses mock student data for educational purposes. When you accept a new incoming cohort of students, you will want to set up their cohort in the system and give them access. To add a cohort, click on the Students section from your dashboard or upper left-hand hamburger menu and select the Setup tab. You will automatically be taken to the Cohort section. Cohorts are a way of grouping students. Lockstep programs typically name their cohorts by graduation year since the entire class enrolls and graduates together. For example, Class of 2025. In contrast to this, non-lockstep programs may use cohorts to group students by other criteria such as a specialization or enrollment term and year. For example, entry-level BSN or Spring 2024 Family Nurse Practitioner. To add a new cohort, click on the Add Cohort button. You will then be able to enter the cohort's name and add groups to the cohort. Groups are helpful because they can be used to categorize students within a cohort. For example, you could create groups for the student's enrollment term if there are multiple enrollment cycles for a cohort and if a group of students have additional compliance requirements. To add a group, type the group's name into the text box and click on the Add button. You can add multiple groups to a cohort. Once you are ready, go ahead and click Save. The new cohort will be added to the list of cohorts. There are other student attributes like enrollment, graduation, student category, campus, and tags that programs use to manage their students. You can either set these attributes while importing your students or later after inviting them. Please continue to the next chapter if you would like to set the additional attributes or watch the chapter, Setting Up Student Attributes later when you need it. In this section, we will cover how to set up additional student attributes. Click on the Enrollment section to provide student enrollment terms and dates. An enrollment term is the first term in which the student enrolled in your academic program. For example, students enrolled in the spring of 2025 should be assigned the enrollment term of spring 2025. You can add new enrollment terms by clicking on the pencil icon. You must enter the enrollment term, but the enrollment date is optional. Then click Add. It is possible to add multiple enrollment terms on this page. If you would like to change previously added dates and terms, you can do so in the list below. If you would like to delete any of these enrollment terms, click on the trash bin icon. Once you are done, go ahead and save. You can then move on to the graduation section. This page functions similarly to the enrollment section, but instead of enrollment terms and dates, you will enter graduation terms and dates. The graduation term is the last term in which the student is enrolled in your program. For example, students graduating in the fall of 2024 should be assigned the graduation term of fall 2024. Once you are finished, you can move on to student categories. Student categories are an additional way to group students. They can be used in several ways, such as a focus or academic specialization. Please note that student categories can be viewed by the student, so keep this in mind when creating student categories. If you would like to manage students by a criterion they cannot view, you can use tags for this. Please watch our Managing Students tutorial for more information on how to use tags. Click on the pencil icon to add or edit student categories. To add a new student category, enter the category name and click Add. You can change the names of previous categories using their corresponding text boxes. If you would like to delete any previous categories, click on the trash bin icon. Be sure to save when you are finished. The last option for student organization is their campus. If your academic program has multiple campuses, this is a good way to group students based on the location they attend. You can then click on the pencil icon and add or change existing campus entries. This section functions the same as the student category section. To add individual students, navigate to the Students tab and click the Add Student button. A drawer will open for you to fill the information. You must enter the student's name, school email address, and cohort to save the information. The other information is optional for you to include. To select a cohort, click on the cohort drop-down. You can then select from the list of cohorts you have previously added. You can also associate faculty advisors with the student by clicking Associate with Faculty/Staff, selecting the advisor's name, and then selecting a role for this advisor. When you are ready, click on the Save button. You will then automatically be taken to the student's profile page. There are a couple of ways students can log in to access their account. There are standard accounts and single sign-on accounts. Standard accounts use a standard login process where the student provides their username and password every time they log in. Single sign-on is a user authentication method that allows users to log into multiple applications and websites using one set of credentials. Accounts using SSO verification verify students' identity outside of the Exxat system to sign them in and provide them access to the system. If your school uses single sign-on logins, you will need to add a SSO key for the student to access their account. Make sure to scroll down to the single sign-on key section and click the plus icon. You will then enter the SSO key and click Save. You can also edit previously added SSO keys using the pencil icon. Please note that if you assign a SSO key to a student, this student will be provided with an SSO login when you invite them. If you have a long list of students to import, bulk importing saves you a lot of time compared to importing students individually. To bulk import students, click on the Setup tab, click on the Student Management drop-down in the left-hand menu, and select the Bulk Import option. You will be taken to a table displaying previous student bulk import instances. To bulk import a new list of students, click on the plus icon to the right of the refresh icon. A page will open with directions for the bulk import process. Click on the Download Template icon to download the import template. You will then need to enter all the information for the students you would like to import. You are going to want to keep in mind a few things while you fill out this template. Any columns containing an asterisk will need this information to add the students. Make sure you do not make any changes to the columns of this template. Also, to enter a cohort, group, enrollment, graduation, student category, and campus, you must first set up these categories in the system under the Student Organization section. After you have entered all of the data into this template, navigate back to the Exxat Prism system and click Next. You can then provide a name for this import instance and upload the completed template file. Click on the Browse to Upload button and select your file. If you have accidentally uploaded the wrong file, click on the trash bin icon. You can then upload the correct file. When you are ready, click Next. The system will then display any relevant issues with your Excel file. Important issues are called errors and require making changes to the uploaded template to import these students. Less important issues are called warnings. You can still import the list of students if there are warnings detected, however, we advise resolving any warning messages before you import the students. Hover over the alert icon in a red cell to view the error message for this cell. Hover over the alert icon in a yellow cell to view the relevant warning message. Also, there are helpful counts of warnings and errors in the top left-hand corner of the table. Click on the filter icon to only show rows with errors or warnings. When you are ready, click on the Import button. The system will then ask you to enter a number to confirm this import instance. You will then see this import instance displayed in the table. If the import instance is not displayed, click the refresh icon on the top right-hand side of the table to refresh the page. The table will display the title of the import instance, the administrator who initiated the import, the date it was initiated, the status of the import, and the Excel file used for the import. You can download this file by clicking the download icon. You can sort this list of instances alphabetically or by recency by clicking on the title and initiated on columns of the table. Now that you have added the students, you will have to invite them to the Exxat Prism system. Click on the Setup tab, then click on the Student Management drop-down and select Invite Students. You will be taken to a table with all the students in your program. This table functions similarly to the table in the Students section. You can use the search box and filter options to filter students, the wrench icon to edit the table columns, and the export icon to export the list of students. You can invite students here. Select the students from the list that you would like to invite. You can select all students by clicking the checkbox on the top left-hand side of the table. Please note that if you have assigned a valid SSO key to a student you have selected, this student will be provided with a SSO login account when you invite them. After you have made your selections, click the Invite Student button. A window will open for you to configure this invitation. Go ahead and click Next. You will then select the template for the email you would like to send. You can select our pre-made standard template, or any other template you have created. Click Add a template to add a new template. You can then provide a template name, subject name, and header and footer layout for the email template. You will then provide a body for the email template. Be sure to use the merge fields displayed in the upper right-hand corner of the page. These merge fields will be replaced with the information relevant to this specific email correspondence. To add a merge field, type the @ symbol, then select the merge field. For example, if you want to start the template with Dear, the recipient's first and last names, type Dear, space, @ symbol, then select the first name, space, @ symbol again and select the last name. When you are done filling out this template, you can click Save to save this template. If you would like to delete a previous template, click on the template list, then click on the trash bin icon to the right of the template name. To edit a previously added template, click the template, then click the Edit button. You can then make changes to this template. Once you are done, select a template and click Preview. You can then choose to send the invitation now or schedule it to be sent later. If you choose to schedule the email to be sent later, you will need to provide the date you want it to be sent. On the left-hand side of this window, you will see a preview of the invitation. Check this to make sure it is configured correctly. Once you are done, click Send. You can then check if the invitation was sent successfully or if the student activated their account using the Account Status column. Now navigate back to the Students tab. Here you will see a list of all the students added to your program. The table will display the student's name, student ID, school email address, status, cohort, etc. If you would like to edit the columns of the table, click on the wrench icon. You can then change the order of the columns using the up and down arrows or the double ellipses icon. If you would like to remove a column, click the trash bin icon. You can then re-add deleted columns by clicking on the Add a Column button, then selecting the column to add again. The column setup is sticky. This means that if you leave this page or log out of the system and return to it later, the columns will still be set up the same way as you left them. To reset the columns to their default settings, click on the column icon, then select the Reset All hyperlink in the top left-hand corner of the window, then select the Save button. You can also download this list of students using the export icon. An Excel file will be downloaded with all the student information. You can filter this list using the search box or the filter icon. Search for specific students, cohorts, etc. using the search box. Click on the filter icon to filter the list of students by different categories. Click on a category, then make your desired selections. Click Apply when you're done. To view the full list of applied filters, click on the Show More hyperlink. You can then delete filter options by clicking on the corresponding X icon. When you are done, click the Apply button. Please note that these filters are sticky as well, so if you leave this page and you return, the same filters will be applied. However, unlike the column setup, when you log out and log back in, these filters will reset to default. In the case that you have added a student incorrectly, let's say you gave them an enrollment term of fall 2024, but the student is really enrolling in the spring of 2024, you are going to need to update this student's attributes. To update the student attributes for a student, click on the name of the student you want to update, then click on the pencil icon in the academic section to make these changes. You can change any academic information previously added for a student. In some cases, you may want to update the information for a group of students. For example, if multiple students are switching from attending courses at one campus to another, you can make these changes to student attributes for multiple students at a time using the bulk update feature. To bulk update student attributes, select multiple students and click the bulk update button. You can then select the attribute you would like to update, then choose the value of the attribute you would like to assign to each of the selected students, then select the Update button. You will then confirm you would like to update the information for these students. Lastly, it is possible to delete previously added students if these students have dropped out of your program or they have been added by mistake. Click on the student you would like to delete. Then, in the upper right-hand corner, click Delete Student. A drawer will open for you displaying the data which would be lost by deleting this student. Please note that if a student has learning activity data saved or submitted in their courses, the system will not let you delete them. If this is the case, reach out to prism-support@exxat.com to have this student deleted. If you are sure you would like to delete the student, provide your reason for deleting the student below, then select Delete. The system will confirm you would like to delete the student, then click Proceed. The student will then be deleted. Navigate back to the Students section. Click on the Setup tab. The following setup sections will allow you to customize your students' experience and how they interact with the school users via their Exxat Prism login. This includes communicating with students via announcements, providing resources to cohorts of students, collecting signatures for attestations, assigning program requirements to students, setting up areas of professional interest for students to indicate their preference for, collecting additional information from your students via the Additional Profile Details section, customizing the viewability of placement information, and allowing students to change their profile picture. Student announcements are general and are used to communicate with entire cohorts of students via the student dashboard. You can use announcements to invite students to upcoming events or inform them of anything else notable. You can also communicate more specific announcements specific to courses in the Course Announcements section. For more information on course announcements, please check out our Managing Courses tutorial. Click on the Announcements section to view the upcoming, current, and former announcements scheduled. To add a new announcement, click on the Add Announcement button. You will then need to enter the start time, end time, and title for the announcement. To select a start time, click on the calendar icon. You can then select the date for the announcement. Next, you will be prompted to select the hour and minute you would like for the announcement to go active. You will then repeat the process to select an expiration time for the announcement. You can then provide a description for the announcement and attach a related document if necessary. For example, if there is a flyer for an upcoming event, you can upload it here to provide it to students. First, take note of the supported file types and size limits, then click on the Browse to Upload button and select the document. You will then need to select which cohorts you would like to send the announcement to. If you want to share the announcement with all the added cohorts, leave this box checked. If you would like to select specific cohorts, uncheck this box and click on the Select Cohort text box. A menu will appear for you to select the specific cohorts. If you set up the start date in the future, you will also have the option to notify students by email when the announcement goes live. This can be helpful if the announcement is particularly important, or the announcement contains time-sensitive information. For example, if there will be a school closure for specific dates, you can check the Notify Students via email when the announcement goes live checkbox. You are then ready to save. To edit an already added announcement, click on the pencil icon of that announcement. You can then make changes to that announcement. When you are done, be sure to save. In the Student Resources section, you can provide helpful resources to your students in the form of documents, videos, links, or FAQs. This is the General Student Resource section. You can upload more specific resources in the Course Resource section. Please watch our Managing Courses video for more information on course resources. Students will be able to access these resources when they log into their account. In the Student Resources section, you can provide resources applicable to entire cohorts of students or relevant the student body as a whole. For example, you can provide cohorts with your school's student handbook, dress code, or attendance policy. First, click on the pencil icon next to the category list to manage the categories you will use to group your resources. A window will appear for you to add new categories or make changes to existing ones. For example, if you want to provide professional development resources, you can create this category to house these resources. If you would like to delete a previously added category, you can use the trash bin icon to do so. You can use the double ellipses to rearrange this list. Go ahead and save when you are ready. Click on the Add Resource button to add a new resource. You will then need to select which type of resource you would like to add. Then indicate which category you would like to include the resource in. You can then provide a name and description for the resource. If you chose to add a resource of the document type, such as a student handbook, scroll down to the Browse to Upload button. Be sure to review the supported file types and size limits, then click the Browse to Upload button and upload the document. If you chose the link or video type of resource, such as an informative tutorial or a link to applicable program competencies, you would need to provide a link in the URL text box. If you chose to add a FAQ, you will provide the question in the text box above, and the answer in the text box below. After you have provided your resource, you can indicate if you want the student to view it. If you do not want your students to view this resource yet, deactivate the Show to Student bit. You can always go back and activate the Show to Student bit later to provide your students this resource. Lastly, you will indicate whether you would like to share the resource with all cohorts of students. If you would like to share it with specific cohorts, uncheck this box, and select the specific cohorts you would like to share the resource with. Once you are done, go ahead and click the Save button to add the resource. To view the resources available to specific cohorts, click on the cohort drop-down in the upper left-hand side of the page and select a specific cohort. If you would like to view the resources which students of any cohort can view, select the Shared with All Cohorts option. Click on one of the categories under the category list to view resources added to that category. You can filter this list of resources by checking and unchecking the boxes next to each resource type. You can also rearrange the list of resources by clicking on the Reorder button. You can then drag and drop resources using the double ellipses to rearrange them. When you are done, click Save. Lastly, if you would like to delete previously added resources, click on the trash bin icon. If you would like to edit previously added resources, click on the pencil icon. You can then make the necessary changes and save it. In the Attestations section, you can add statements which you would like your students to attest to. For example, you may want your students to affirm that they will practice academic honesty and integrity when completing coursework. Click the Add Attestation button to add a new attestation. The only required section for attestations is the title. Enter a title for the attestation, then enter a description of the attestation. You can then indicate if you want to assign this attestation to all students and select a due date for it. Lastly, you can toggle whether the attestation is shown to students. This is helpful if you want to set up attestations and publish them later. To edit an attestation, click on the pencil icon. You will not be able to change the title or content of an attestation if students have already agreed to the statement. You can change the due date, the cohorts assigned the attestation, and activate or inactivate it. If, however, you have yet to activate an attestation, you can change its title and content. You are now ready to move on to the Program Requirements section. Students will fulfill these requirements as they complete their coursework. You can manually mark a requirement as completed from the student profile, or you can make a student's placement so that once their placement is completed, the requirement is automatically marked as completed by the system. For more information on how to assign requirements to placements, please watch our student placement tutorial. In this section, you can assign specific graduation requirements to your students. You will see a list of already added requirements on the table. The table will display the title of the requirement, the settings which fulfill the requirement, and the cohorts assigned the requirement. To add a new requirement, click on the Add Program Requirement button. You can then enter the title of the requirement, a description for the requirement, and choose the settings which fulfill the requirement. Click on the Settings text box to select the related settings. Then select the cohorts you would like to assign this requirement. You are then ready to save. To edit or delete an existing program requirement, you can use the corresponding pencil and trash bin icons. You are now ready to move to the Areas of Professional Interest section. You will see a group of existing areas of professional interest. Some examples of areas of professional interest include private practice, pediatrics, and geriatrics. Click on the pencil icon to make changes to this list. To add a new area of professional interest, enter the name of the area, then assign a color to the area of professional interest. You can then click Add to add this new area to the list. You can also make changes to previously added areas of professional interest using the text boxes and drop-downs below. To delete a previously added area of professional interest, click on the corresponding trash bin icon. When you are done, click Save. In the Additional Profile Details section, you can assign specific questions to student profiles for students to answer. This is helpful for collecting information that the student profile does not already have a dedicated section for. Some schools use the Additional Profile Details section to collect student standardized exam scores, others use the section as a survey to collect student t-shirt sizes or career preferences. You will see a list of questions added here. To add a new question, click on the Add Question button. You can then enter the content of the question and indicate whether you would like this question to be mandatory or if you would like it to be included when sharing the student's profile. By including this in the shared student's profile, you will have the ability to share this information collected from the student with sites. You will then indicate which cohorts you would like to assign this question and activate or inactivate the question. When you are done, click Add. You can then add more questions if you would like to do so. If you are ready to add this question, click Save. The question will then be added to the list. You can use the filter in the top left-hand side of the page to filter questions by cohort. If you would like to reorder the questions, click on the Reorder button at the top of the page. You can then use the double ellipses to drag and drop the questions in your desired order. Click Save once you are finished. Just like the other sections, you can make changes to existing entries using the pencil icon and delete entries using the trash bin icon. Now select the Student View section. In the Student View section, you can enable and disable bits to show or hide various placement details from Student View and allow students to perform certain actions. If you want students to be able to view housing and parking information for sites and locations in the Explore Clinical Locations section, activate the Housing and Parking bit. Some schools allow students to add their preceptors and others don't. You can control if you want to allow your students to add their preceptor by activating the Add Preceptor bit. If you do not want students to be able to view the contract documents, disable the Contract Documents bit. If you want students to be able to view other students placed at the location of their placement, activate the Other Students Placed Here bit. Lastly, if you trust your students to upload appropriate profile pictures, activate the Profile Picture bit to allow students to change their profile picture on their own. Thank you for watching our Setting Up Students tutorial. Please take the time to check out our other useful Exxat Prism tutorials.